Okay, students, come on in, sit down. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our lecture tonight. We are very excited to have Alex Bean with us, an amazing entrepreneur, a very successful a builder of companies, several companies, and we're going to have Ben introduce him in just a minute. First, a couple of things. So next week is our last lecture before spring break, and we have Dave and Liz Finley from Albion Fit coming. They've built an amazing company in the outdoor clothing line. And before that meeting at 5 o'clock, if any of you are interested in free food, we are going to have a seed orientation night just for this class. And we're going to send out an email. You sign up, you RSVP, and then you get to come and have tacos before the lecture. And you're going to hear all about the seed class, which we've been talking about all semester, okay? Then after next week, we have a 2-week break. So we're not meeting those 2 weeks, just before and during spring break. And then our next speaker is Lindsay Hadley on the 19th of March, and we have 4 more after that, all right? Okay? So I've been giving out books every time we meet. If you're willing to come up and tell us something you learned from the last speaker, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Paige, go ahead.
At Montes, we spent 2 years designing and perfecting a shoe made with the movements of pickleball in mind. And while big-name brands already had a court shoe they just slapped the word pickleball on and changed their marketing strategies, we know that pickleballers spend more time at the net in a lunge, return, and toe drag position, creating pressure points unique to the sport. So first things first, you need a shoe that lasts. The Drop 1.0 offers a high-density, wear-resistant outsole with a non-slip texture that mitigates impact and lasts longer on the court. We added a toe slide support patch that reinforces pressure points during the lunge and return movements. The additional heel reinforcement and counter insert help support and strengthen your ability for lateral movement. A crash-resistant toe cap, breathable 3D mesh, and a high-elastic inner sock that connects all the way to the sole, adding additional comfort, stability, and response. And it happens to have our patent-pending pickleball design torsion point for style. This is a shoe designed with pickleball in mind.
Okay, we've got 4 pairs of Montes pickleball shoes to give away tonight, okay? So I want 2 females and I want 2 males to come up and tell us what you learned from Reed Tileston last week. And Sid, where are you, Sid? Okay, Sid is going to pick the 4 students to come up and get the shoes, okay? We need some female hands up, come on. I'm only giving away 2 pairs of males' shoes. Okay. Come on up. Okay, I think Reed Tileston was very interesting. He talked about entrepreneurship through acquisition, so how you get into a company that already exists. I thought it was a great lecture. So tell us one thing you learned from Reed, and if you need to say something from another speaker, that's fine too, but let's focus on Reed first, okay? So tell us your name and what you learned.
Okay, my name's Ben Olson, and I learned about traditional search funds, where you basically get paid to go find a company to acquire, and a couple other ways to acquire companies.
My name's Cade. One thing that I thought was super interesting from Reed's talk was when he said working on yourself and setting habits that are daily, weekly, every 6 months, every year, and trying to do new things on a regular basis. So.
I liked when he said that in his first company, he failed because he tried to do something different than what was already working for the rest of the companies around him. And so he said looking back, he would have taken what worked and applied it to what he was doing. And so I liked that, and I learned that as well, that we should always be looking around and noticing things that are working for other people and apply that to ourselves.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed Reed's lesson, but I feel that something I learned that was kind of not in a direct way, it wasn't something he just came out and said, but was the importance of asking open and honest open-ended questions, because he was the first speaker that really engaged the entire crowd the whole time, and I felt that just really stuck with me because it had me thinking, and I just didn't really have time to zone out or not think about what he was talking about because he was constantly asking us questions. So
Okay, let's give him a hand. And you get to pick a pair of shoes. Everything's free and shipping, but a new shipment just arrived today, and so if something's on the side, so it's there right now. It's not right here today, so every size.
Thanks so much.
Okay, Ben is going to introduce Alex. Let's get started.
Okay, thank you guys for being here. We are super excited to have Alex Bean. Alex Bean is a great entrepreneur and co-founder of Divvy. Under his leadership, Divvy was able to rise super rapidly and was able to be acquired for $2.5 billion in 2021. And after that acquisition of Divvy, he went and started Tandem Ventures and now helps a lot of young entrepreneurs and startups go out in the field. We're going to play a quick little game. We're going to do 2 truths and a lie. So you guys can kind of help them figure out, which one's a lie. The first one is he has slept on the Great Wall of China. Kind of exciting. Second, he won a contest which gave him free Coke for a whole year. And third, he owns and holds a world record. Which one do you guys think is the truth, lie? What do we think? Hands. Great Wall of China? Coke? You think China's a lie? Like the country, or? Okay, we'll let him answer which one. And give a big round of applause for Alex Bean.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
it. I'm pumped to be here. I forgot how far away Logan was when I said I'd come, but it wasn't as far of a drive as I thought, and I didn't know there was going to be a basketball game tonight, so we're going to try to get this done, so if any of you are going to that, you'll work. Who said China was a lie over there, by the way? You said China was a lie? So to be fair, China is not a lie, and actually my brother, when I was there, was really mad because it's illegal, and we snuck around the security guards, which I don't recommend. Well, policemen, I don't recommend that in a communist country. But slept on the Great Wall of China. I did not win a year of Coke. I've actually never drank a Coke. I just don't like the flavor. I sipped it once and I'm out. And I do own a world record. I played pickleball for 24 hours. So if you do something long enough, they will give you a plaque. And yeah, we definitely wore out our shoes. So, okay. Yeah, real quick lesson on world record stuff. If you do anything for, quote, longest, it has to be over 24 hours. And when you do that, you don't do it straight. You do it for an hour, and you get 5 minutes off. So we would go for 4 hours, and then we'd get to 15 minutes. We'd run to the bathroom, change our shoes, get something to eat, and then hop back on. But yes, it's 24 hours with little breaks here and there. So, okay, cool. I'm going to get going and talk a lot about the things that I learned while building Divvy, the 3 unicorn lessons I think you can utilize if I were in your shoes in college, and then also the 3 things I've learned after. I am going to interact a lot, so do we need a microphone for the webcast? Or could we just have people raise their hands and go back and forth? Okay, cool. Let's get into it. We will have Q&A at the end, but honestly, I'm going to kind of force some as we go, but if you also have a question, literally raise your hand and we'll kind of go back and forth. Real quick, just to help me, raise your hand if you're a freshman. Oh, hey, a lot. Sophomore, junior, and senior. Oh, sweet. Okay, pretty well distributed. One last bifurcation just to help me. Who wants to be an entrepreneur, which means to start their own company? And who's just excited to be here but doesn't really care about starting their own company? Cool, love it. It will help in some of the topics and things we talk about today. Some will be more geared towards entrepreneurs, but others will definitely be more geared towards just college students. So let's do it. This is not on. There it is. Okay. So real quick, there it is. This is my story. I'm born and raised. I was just with a group for dinner, and I asked them this question, and to be honest, they failed. They were not really good at it. I'm born in Redmond, Washington. What is Redmond, Washington famous for? And if you're at dinner, you're not allowed to answer. Apples? What? Redmond, Washington. All right. Thank you. Microsoft. So I grew up in Redmond before Microsoft was even a thing. Born and raised there, went to school at BYU, went back to Seattle for 10 years, and now I live in Utah. I live in Highland, Utah. I've lived there for about 9 years. I am from a family of entrepreneurs. So, like my great-grandpa was an entrepreneur, my grandpa was an entrepreneur, my dad was an entrepreneur, my brothers are entrepreneurs. So it was always like percolating in my blood that I was gonna start something. And in high school, I basically tried to not get jobs, but would try to like work my way around the system and become an entrepreneur. To okay success, some things we made money on, most of it we totally didn't. But I did a lot of things and failed a lot in high school and in college. In my 20s, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, I did a lot of the work to learn and not to earn. Specifically what that meant is like I took jobs where I got paid pretty low and worked 14 to 16 hours a day quite often, but it was because I loved what I was doing and I was learning so much that I was like, I got to keep doing this until eventually the opportunity to start Divvy and become a full-time entrepreneur presented itself. So Divvy, who's heard of Divvy? Anyone want to volunteer and tell me what it was, what we did? Right there. Don't act so like you had it. You nailed it. Yeah. Expense management software and platform. Shrug your shoulders. So we were basically a credit card with the expense management, and we merged them. We started in. This is not responding. We're going to get there. There it is. We started in 2016. Who here has ever had an idea for a business? Can you think of anything more exciting than that time when you think you have something special? And I can remember where I was, what clothes I was wearing. When Blake came to my house in February 2016, we were in my basement. We had these ugly blue couches. And we were sitting on them, and Blake's like, I have this idea. And basically his idea at the time, this might surprise everyone, and I will feel older than I swear I am, but Venmo was just coming around, Apple Pay wasn't a thing, and we were like, hey, we think we can take credit cards and kind of do some unique things in the business world. And Blake's like, hey, this is my idea. So we started going back and forth. The first 4 to 6 months of our business, we are just like on fire. We think we have this idea, and we're texting and calling, and to the point where my wife's like, who are you texting at 1 a.m.? And it's like, it's Blake. We're got this idea. Question for you. If you have an idea, or when you've had an idea, who do you tell first? Who's like the best person to tell for your business? You pointed at him? Who's him to you? Future business partner. Love it. That's great. Who else would you tell? Your mom? Yeah, nice. Where are you from? Syracuse. Love it. Okay, you tell your mom. Who else would you tell? Spouse, mom, friend, business partner? Your dad? Okay, why would you tell your dad or your mom, your spouse? Why would you tell your dad? Okay. Okay, you trust him? Your most important person in your life. Are you married? Hey, okay, that's a good start. All right. So hold on that for 1 second. We're gonna come to this in a minute. I want to finish the Divvy story, then we're gonna get back to this because I think it matters. Blake told me the idea. We came together. We started building this idea. It took us about 4 to 6 months before we realized that what we felt like we had something, and I'll tell a story about that in a second. And we quit our jobs and we said, let's go do this thing. We built it for about 18 months, which was crazy because we thought it would be way faster, and we'll get into that a little bit. And we went to market in June of 2018, and we sold in June of 21, as was said earlier, for 2.5. So it was exciting, and then I was gone. We sold on Tuesday. I was gone by Thursday. So there was a lot of things that happened kind of at the end. We'll go through this crazy journey that was Divvy. Okay. By the way, Hannah, who's my chief of staff, who works with me and does so much with me, she's an Aggie. So this was a BYU unicorn. And she's like, hey, we got to change it. You're going to get booted off the stage. So Hannah did the seed program, came through this, the entrepreneurship program like you guys. So she was super excited to be back and speaks very, very highly of not only the staff, but the facility in Utah State. So, all right. By the way, does everyone know what a unicorn is, just for clarity? Like, what is a unicorn? Anyone want to answer? You shook your head. You know what it is? Specifically $1 billion. So that's just kind of the threshold, and they use the term unicorn. If you go from 0 to $1 billion, that's when they start to reference it as a unicorn. So we're going to talk about unicorn lessons because there's things that we learned while we did Divvy that were super, super important. The first lesson, product market fit is the only thing that matters. And I think there's going to be about 10 lessons. We talked about earlier, just to bring us back, we talked about if you had a business idea, you would tell your dad, your spouse, your mom, and your business partner. Okay, I'm going to tell you, and just hear me out for a second, that like your dad, actually your mom's the worst. I think the mom's the worst. Your mom's the worst person on the planet to tell your business idea to. Your spouse is the second worst. Your dad's probably third. Here's why. Your mom is going to say one of two things, almost guaranteed. One, you're the best, sweetie. You can do anything you want. Go for it. Or she's going to say, and this is a spouse conversation, that's a little too risky. Don't do it. Stay with your job. Okay? And is your mom why is it a bad idea besides those just two reasons? Why is your mom not the right person to tell, or even your dad? Like you over here, you told me you were going to tell your dad. Why is your dad, who's probably really smart in business, a bad person to tell? Super biased. Okay, so we have this theory at Divvy or at Tandem that we call the billboard theory. You guys drive up and down Utah, you see billboards all the time. What's the best billboard you can think of? Like, anyone think of a good billboard campaign? Who said Julia Reagan? That was good. I enjoyed that. Someone was like, I wonder if Julia Reagan's going to win for president. You know, like she's everywhere. Yeah, there's like a NICMO one? What are they selling, though? You just think the NICMO's funny? Yeah, solid. Is Chick-fil-A? Eat more chicken? Okay, when you drive by, you're going 90 miles an hour, the speed limit, 70 miles an hour. You see the billboard. You see it for a second or two, right? Why? You know as you drive by that you're a buyer of Chick-fil-A. I'm assuming you eat Chick-fil-A, right? The billboard theory is very, very simple business principle. Tell your audience who you are. So tell your target profile, the 20-something-year-old who probably likes Chick-fil-A, what you sell, right? They sell chicken. If you tell your mom, she's not your target buyer. If you tell your dad, he's not your target buyer. And if you tell your spouse, I promise you, they're not your target buyer. So they're not giving you any constructive feedback on whether or not your idea is any good at all. So when you're going to start an idea or a business, for us at Divvy, we were selling to finance people. I went on LinkedIn. I found... And, you know, of course I told my mom and my dad, I'm not saying you're never going to, but it's just not actually a relevant conversation to whether or not you should leave your job or go do this thing. You have to go ask your buyers, and you have to say, here's what I'm selling. Do you want to buy what I'm selling? And when we started Divvy, I literally would go on LinkedIn, and I'd find these VPs of finance, and my goal was actually to find people that didn't know me. So, for example, our first ever customer, I don't know if he knows this, these are my two nephews in the crowd, Sam and Quinn. Sam's dad is the first ever customer for Divvy. Do you know that? And you know who number two is? Your dad. So I went to my brothers and I'm like, you're our customer. You don't have a choice. You're coming. And it's fine. That's like helpful. But ultimately, I'm not going to leave my job because my brothers wanted to buy my product. I had to go to hundreds of VPs of finance and say, this is what we're selling. Do you want to buy it? And the feedback that we got is why I knew product market fit mattered. So, for example, when I would show people what we were doing with budgets or expense reports, I would like tell them we could do this thing. I would go on to the next slide, and they would stop me. And they would say, wait, hold on, what? Go back. And I'm like, I go back. And they're like, you're telling me you can send 10 people to Vegas for a conference trip and keep them within budget? And I'm like, yeah, that's what the software does. And they're like, when is it live? How do we buy? You know, they're asking these questions. So we knew we had something because they were physically responding in a way that was like, oh, this isn't my mom or my dad saying, good idea, sweetie. This was my buyer saying, I will pay for it right now. Does that make sense, the difference? And the reason I say it's the only thing that matters is because I don't care how smart you are or what you've learned at school. If you try to sell a square peg to a round hole, it will be so hard. You can be as efficient as you possibly want to be. It's just not going to work. But if you know what's funny, though? If you do the opposite, if you sell Chick-fil-A to 20-year-olds, you could be pretty bad at marketing. They're going to gobble it up, right? Free ice cream outside. The product market fit's pretty strong. So product market fit really, really matters, number one thing. Any questions on that? And again, happy to take a quick question before we move on to something. Yeah. Have you ever heard, this is an old like government hearing, stay with me on this, I promise we'll get somewhere. Have you ever heard the old definition of what pornography is? You know it when you see it. Like that was the way they were trying to define what the line was, and so they were just saying, you're gonna know it when you see it. Product market fit's very similar. It's like hard to define, but if your target customer wants what you're selling, it's hard to define with a line, but you can feel it, you can see it. And I can give you a lot of different examples. I usually will ask, so right now I do venture capital, so we meet with a lot of startups, and I'll ask them, how do you think you have product market fit? Or why do you think you have product market fit? And usually it's like them trying to tell me, and the best answer I've ever gotten to this question, a guy said, well, I'm founder-led sales, and we've got to X revenue, but we stopped founder-led sales, we hired a new salesperson, and in the first month he closed 60 accounts. Like, I don't know if you know, that's insane. He's like, the product is so strong, the market wants it so much that like, even when the founder's not selling and it's some random salesperson, he sold 60 accounts. Like, that's really impressive. So, hopefully that answers. All right, let's move on. Okay, so, it's funny, at Divvy, we started in 16, we eventually went live in 18, we sold for a good amount of money in 21. A lot of people will look and they'll be like, man, that's so quick. And it was. But they're implying, oh, that's so easy. Like everything was easy. And the thing that I would say both from a career perspective, but specifically entrepreneurship, is it is a roller coaster. And if you can't manage the emotions of that, then you're gonna have a tough time. So for example, for the first couple of years, I mean, we're talking like first 2 or 3 years, some days I'd come home and I'd look my wife in the eye, we have 4 kids, and I'd come home and I would just like walk in the door and I'd be like, we've done it. I was serious. I was like, we've done it. We've built a $1 billion business. I know the world doesn't know yet, but like it's coming. We're rich. It's gonna happen. And the next day or 2 days later, I'd come home and she'd be like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm on LinkedIn looking for a job. It's bad. Like, it's over. It's almost over. Like, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, we might not make it till Monday. And it would happen all the time where you would be high, 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 and then something would happen low, 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 and we'll go through 1 or 2 more of these stories. The thing I got famous for in my own little world at Divvy of saying was, things are never as good as they seem, and they're never as bad as they seem. And I think that's a relevant mantra for life, because when you win, just realize that that's great, receive it, enjoy it, but just know it's like, it's not perfect. There's something's gonna knock you down tomorrow. But when you're getting knocked down and life sucks and things are not going your way, it's not as bad as it could be. So there's a little hope, and just try to stay in the middle ground, because life can be a roller coaster up and down. All right, so for example, I'll tell some of these stories. All right, so I'll give you 2 good stories of Divvy. So our initial idea at Divvy was that you would look at your phone, like you guys use Apple Pay, you look at your phone, you can see like how much money's on your Apple Card, that's super easy. It was not super easy in 2016. You would have a credit card, and unless you were looking at your app, you wouldn't know how much money's on your credit card. So our idea was get rid of the credit card and just use your phone. Genius, right? What's the problem with that from a business perspective? Do you use your phone to pay for everything? I mean, maybe now, but yeah, right here. Yeah, so like what's a good example of when you wouldn't want to give someone your phone as a credit card? Maybe at a restaurant to a server who goes to the back. So we had this whole idea. We had raised like millions of dollars on this premise of we don't need a physical credit card. And our head of product, his name was Jacob, and he came into our office and he's like, hey, we have a problem. We can't exist without a physical credit card. And Blake, my partner, he was the CEO, I was his co-founder. We were like, shut it down. No. Like it has to have we can't have a physical credit card. And we kind of went back and forth on this. And Jacob was like, it's not possible. And so we go back and forth. And we went home that day thinking like, should we return the money? Like we still had millions. We can like give it back, fire the staff, and just go home and say, sorry, we did our best. And that's how we felt, honestly, for like a day or two, because we're like, if it doesn't fulfill this dream, this product vision we have, it doesn't matter. What ended up happening, it's never as good, it's never as bad, under that umbrella, we realized, oh, wait a minute, if we have a credit card, they can at least go to their phone and tell the credit card how much money it has on it, so we figured out a way around it. But like, those types of hurdles will come into the business all the time, and you think the sky is falling. So for example, you guys have heard of US Bank, obviously. US Bank's a big company. We were working with US Bank, super excited about it. We went to Minnesota, like before we were anything. We had a meeting in their main conference room with a lot of their senior execs. We get there, they're all dressed in suits. I was probably dressed like this, so we were way out of our league. And my partner and I, we don't even have a product. We just have like an envisioned prototype. So we're pretending to have a product. And we get up there, and for the next hour and a half, you said, what is product market fit? For the next hour and a half, my partner and I'm telling you, we blew them away. We told these US Bank representatives what the future of banking was going to be, and they knew it. They had billions of dollars, but they knew that we were smarter than them. So we were on top of the world. We like went to dinner that night. That's when we quit our jobs. It was like, I walked out of that meeting and we're like, let's do it. High as a kite, feeling super pumped. We build with US Bank, this amazing partner, for like months. I'm telling you, we spent $1 million building into US Bank, building all sorts of crap they didn't have into APIs they didn't have, and it was just a ton of work. And we get an email on a Thursday, a random Thursday in like October. And the email says, we regret to inform you that we have to shut your partnership down. I'm like, what? And we were just blown away. We're like, what are you talking about? They wouldn't even pick up the phone. It was some middle compliance manager who'd been told by a banking representative that, hey, anyone who wants to issue a card outside of US Bank, just shut it down. And we're a small fry, so at the end of the day, US Bank doesn't care. But we cared. So Blake and I get this message that US Bank has shut us down, this big partnership we think we have, we think we own the world, we're on fire, and we're literally sitting in our office, there's these big glass walls, and we see all of our employees, they're working their tails off. We have like 10 to 15 employees at this point, and it's over. And we're like devastated. Like, I don't know if you've ever felt this in a work setting, but like when you look at people as an employer and you realize like they have children that rely on them, so when you fire them, you might as well go to their children and say, you are fired. Like it's pretty heavy. And we felt this like weight of like, oh my gosh. So, you know, it's Thursday, we get this email, and what we decided to do was not say anything. It's like, don't tell anyone. Just take a breath, we'll figure it out, we don't need to tell anyone. Friday, the email came on a Friday, because it was Saturday morning, and it was like, go take the weekend. But by Saturday morning, we're texting, we're calling, we're working the whole day. On Sunday, we're texting, we're calling. By Monday, we were on a plane back east, meeting with multiple banks. We ended up solving it. It was a total hassle, total pain in the butt. But it's like, it's never as easy as it looks from the outside. It's a roller coaster of emotion. You go up and down. All right, let's move on. Lots to cover. Who knows what movie this is from? Boys in the Boat. What's the story? Yeah, really good. So some of the context around that, like, have you read the book or just seen the movie? Okay, so the book that I didn't understand, I'm from Seattle, Washington. I'm a big University of Washington fan. At the time of this movie, UW was considered like poor and cowboy and like pathetic. And the Ivy League schools were like the rich schools, right? So these guys were not something special. And if you know in the book, they kind of go back and forth on this person should be in the front, this person should be in the back, this person should be out, and they kind of go back and forth on who should be in what position. But at the end of the day, what happens is they work as a team to be, to go to Hitler's Olympics and win a gold. It's pretty cool. The reason I put this analogy is because whenever you're going to do anything, whether you're working for a company or whether you're starting a company, whatever you're trying to accomplish, I promise you, it is infinitely easier with a really, really good team. And that means two things. One, if you find someone that's not on your team or that's bringing you down, you either need to leave that team or they need to leave the team. And that means if you're in charge, you need to let them go. Or if you're a part of the unit and you don't have that authority, then you need to find your way off. Because if you have people that aren't making it conducive to be a team and to win and to do something great, just don't be a part of it. And the second thing is that means you have to be good at picking the teams. What teams you're going to be on, who you're going to surround yourself with. Like, these things really, really matter. And I promise you, look, I'm happy to be up here and to tell you how smart I am. The smartest thing I was able to do was to get super smart people to come work at Divvy and to get out of their way and to be the best part of the team I could, but to let them lead the team. So it really, really matters. If you want to scale a company and build a unicorn, you have to recruit amazing people and have them come work for you. Okay, these were the 3 lessons on how to build a unicorn. Before we move on to the 3 lessons for your career, any questions on those? On the 3 lessons? Yeah, right here. Yeah. Okay, so the question was, when you're moving super fast, how do you find the golden people, right? How do you find those people that are going to be a fit? Well, one is you have to be honest with what you have. We would go to lunches or to recruit someone or to have them come into the office, and we'd be like, this is the pace. This is what's happening. This is why it's super exciting. And it's my job and Blake's job to sell that vision. If we can't tell you how great it is, you're not going to want to come. So one, we have to convince you that it's great. And then I have to convince you to leave the great thing you're doing already to come over. And then we have to make it all work. And sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not. I think the trick about it is like you have to be able to find greatness like a good recruiter. Like, do you know sports at all? Like a good coach can spot talent and be like, if we plug that person into this role and we give them these resources, they can do amazing things. And then when you come into the office, we have to say, we're going to put you into this role with these resources. Do you think you can do amazing things? And if your answer fits what I want, that's where it's going to work well. Does that make sense? So clarity of expectation and clarity of like, this is what we're trying to achieve usually can lead to finding the right people. We're going to get into another theory on how to recruit people, but I think that'll suffice. Any other questions on the unicorn scaling stuff? Yeah, we'll do this and then we'll go on to the next. So your question was, do I think what's most important than the skills? The skills, the mentality, what's the most? So like the team will set the culture, right? So if you have a great team, and by the way, you can't just have a great culture, they do have to have the skills. There's a reason this person's at the front, and that person's at the back, and that person's at the middle. So to answer your question, I would say it is about the rhythm of the team, the culture of the team. Not necessarily individual skills, but with that, you also need to have some skills when you're going to be part of the team. But I would say a good team that's working cohesively is way more productive than just individual contributors that are super smart. That I can comfortably say. Okay, cool. Did I just shut this off? What happened here? No? All right. So the next 3 lessons are what you can do to become a unicorn. These are going to be more career-oriented. We're going to do 3 things. We're going to start at the company layer. We're We're going to go down to the team project layer, and then we're going to go down to you layer. So lesson 1 is at the company level. What is a VC? Someone want to give us that answer just so I don't have to talk the whole time? Right here. Perfect, right? Venture capital. We invest in other companies. Do I have a slide on this? Okay. So our job is to do this. We look at, how many do we look at? Like 100-ish companies a month? We look at a lot of companies, and our job is to narrow down the good companies. So we're looking for product market fit. We're looking for companies that are growing, that are adding users, that like they're getting a lot of inbound traffic. We're looking for companies that have a big TAM, total addressable market, that they can be gigantic. So it's funny, we see these businesses, like right now we're looking at a company that has, they sell compliance software to manufacturers, enterprise manufacturers. I mean, it is boring stuff. And it's a small niche, but it's actually a cool little business, but it's not the world's biggest business, right? But, you know, there's other businesses that maybe aren't as sexy, but they can go to huge amounts of people. So when we look at it, we have to figure out how big can this get? And then the other thing we have to ask ourselves is like, do we think that they're capable? Is the founder capable? Is the executive team capable? When I tell you that you have to be this VC, the reason I'm telling you that is because if you're in college and you joined the right company, and I can think of 15 people off the top of my head that came to Divvy that started in college and they left with either a lot of money or a lot of experience or a lot of opportunity because they were on a fast-growing ship, and that the high tides raises all ships. So they found a company with product market fit, they found a company with a big TAM, and they found a team that could execute. So by coming to Divvy or to Lucid or Podium or whatever these companies are, it elevates their opportunities. So when you're growing fast, it's like, oh shoot, Hannah, hey, I need you to own that team. Hey, Quinn, I need you to own that team. And what happens is opportunities beget opportunities at fast-growing companies. If you go to a company that's not moving fast, you will just not really have opportunities and you won't get promoted, you won't be challenged. So your job is to become the VC and to legitimately look for these companies. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, like raise your hand and challenge it. But like if I were you, if I was your age, I'd be like trying to become a VC from an employment standpoint. Who am I gonna go work for? Who gets my time and energy? And if it's the right one, go work for free, I don't care. But like you gotta go find the right companies because if you pick the right one, it will change your life. And if you pick wrong, it'll just delay it. Make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, so the second thing, I'm just gonna walk over and change it. No, I got it. All right. Get in that car. This is, remember, the company level, now it's the team level. For those at dinner, I use this analogy. I'm going to say it again, and then we're going to walk through like what this means. So when we were at Divvy, we were at like, call it like 5 million in revenue. And we were like, oh man, we want to go from like 5 million to 50 million in revenue. That's what we want. So we literally went on a whiteboard and we said, what companies have gone from 5 to 50? And we're like, this company, this company, this company, this company. We wrote 10. We said, okay, here are the 10 companies. And we said, all right, let's go and recruit someone from those companies to come do it for us. And specifically our strategy was we didn't want to hire the car driver. We wanted to hire someone in the car. So what we did is we went and found someone who worked at Jive that had gotten to 100 million in revenue, but they weren't number 1. They were number 2. Actually, this guy was number like 4. Why would we not hire number 1? Why would we hire number 2, 3, or 4? Any guesses? Yeah. Number 1, like to some degree, is either tired or they've been paid because they were successful at doing what they want. So now they're more entitled. Hey, I've done this before. Or you're going to have to pay me a lot of money to come. Number 2, 3, and 4, they have that chip on their shoulder. They're hungry. And they're like, I want to go. I know exactly what to do. And this is what's important. By you going and finding a car driver, you can figure out what their playbook is. So when that company's like, well, we need someone to come scale from 5 to 50, and we come and call you, you're like, I know exactly what to do. In fact, I'm going to do it a little bit better, but I know what we need to do to get there. Does that make sense? So the other thing is when you go to a company, and I recommended this at dinner, I'll say it again, I would almost do this. I would write down, like on your piece of paper, on your phone, think of 5 people, like mentors, I guess you could say that. 5 people that you're like, this person is really, really good, really, really sharp. Write them down. If they're at your company, if they're a professor, if they're another student that you do projects with, it doesn't matter where you're at. Constantly keep this list going. Because what I want you to learn is when you go to a company, you're going to go into a room with this many people, and not everyone is good. And not everyone is a car driver. But you're going to be able to identify it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. And your job is to go get in their car. Go be next to them. Go work projects with them. Take on late nights with them. Figure out what they're doing. Ask them questions. Watch them present. Do whatever you can to soak up what they're doing, because then you're going to have a playbook that allows you to be great at what you do. And it's super, super powerful. Right now, I'm not going to name the company because the guy will kill me because I've been sworn to secrecy. But they went from like 7 million to 50 million in revenue last year. That's very good if you don't know the numbers. That's very good. These are people that came from Divvy. They knew the playbook. But they were the number 3, and now they're the number 1, or they're the number 2, and now they're the number 1. And they went to this company, and they walked in, and they said, here's our playbook. And they're able to crush it. And then guess what? The people that are on their teams, they're learning all sorts of stuff, and now they're taking on teams. And these are 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 28-year-olds. They're not old. They're super young. But they learned from car drivers, and they're killing it. Okay, get in the car as fast as you can. The last thing I'm going to say on this section is, all right, 2 very polarizing figures here, just for fun. Who's been to the Taylor Swift concert? I hope I'm not the only one, because I just went with my 2 daughters, but I actually had a blast. Okay, anyone want to give their opinion on Elon? Does anyone hate Elon? Anyone like Elon? Who hates Elon? Love it. I don't care if you hate her. Who likes Elon? Okay, he's a very polarizing figure. I want to ask you a question, specifically you from Syracuse. Okay, you don't have to tell me what you hate about Elon. What I want you to answer is, what is Elon's superpower? What is he very good at?
Making smart investments.
Is he though? I can't think of anything he's actually invested and stepped away from. So I'm going to argue, I know what you're saying, because like SpaceX, Tesla, those aren't investments. Those are like investing in himself and his businesses, so I get that. Anyone else want to jump on an Elon? What is his superpower? He doesn't give up. If you've read his book, you realize like he will risk it all. Like literally, he sold a company, puts it all in the next company. Sells the next company, puts it all in the next company. Sells it all. Like he was doing rockets out in like the Philippines, and he almost went broke. Like he's crazy. Okay, that's one of them. Finding inefficiencies. Okay, so we can go on Elon for a long time, but I agree with finding inefficiencies, never giving up, and he's smart on the investments he wants to make. So I'm with you. Last one, and then we're going to go to Taylor. Correct. Oh, he's arrogant, that's for sure. Yeah. He's very arrogant. That is fair. He doesn't patent stuff because that's exactly how he feels. He's like, if you're better than me, go do it. Okay, what's Taylor Swift's superpower? I'm only going to accept one answer, so you guys can keep going. What's her superpower?
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, not her superpower. Okay, what is her superpower? Is she good at guitar? There's 1 million people that can play guitar better than Taylor Swift. Can she sing? Yes, there's 1 million people that can sing like her. What is her superpower? Who said songwriting? Multiple people. I've already heard you pick, so I'm going to go back here, okay? Songwriting. What is songwriting? Storytelling. It's storytelling. You nailed it. I don't know how you got it. Okay, and here's the reason. So, Elon Musk knows he wants to go to Mars, and he invents rockets and then invents a business behind it. But he has this crazy vision that he's going to get to Mars. Like him, hate him, love him, doesn't matter. Elon Musk knows what his superpower is, and he is full throttle in it. Taylor Swift is the world's greatest storyteller through music because she is endless. She just releases album after album after album. You can hate her. You cannot listen to her. I don't care. You're wrong. She is endless on her ability to tell stories through music. And she's going to consistently do it. And that's why she's better than so many other people. And that's why she's the most famous musician on the planet. Here's what I want you to know from this. You have to know what your superpower is. Why in the world is someone going to pay you to do something? Guess what? There are 1,000 kids that graduate. There's literally millions of kids that graduate school every year. You're not that special. What are they going to pay you to do? And what is that company trying to hire someone to do? You have to figure out those matches. Because if you were thinking, oh, because I show up, they're going to pay me, you will not be successful. If you, I'll get you. If you know, hey, I'm actually good at negotiating, or I'm really good at building presentations, or I'm really good at owning a project and delivering it across the line and delivering this end unit. If you know what it is, and you don't need to know it today, but you can start to figure out today what you're good at. The more you know your superpower, the more you can be something special to a team, and you know where on that rowboat you need to be. And that matters, because if you put yourself in the wrong place, you won't be successful. But if you put yourself in leverage spots that you're good, you can build on that specialty and be relentless like Taylor. Yeah, you had a question.
What's your superpower?
Oh, I can. You know, it's funny. I can easily tell you what my not superpower is. And it's like I'm not organized, I don't have a process, and if it wasn't for Hannah, I would be lost. So her having a baby is super convenient. I'm just joking. My superpower, I can start at 1 and I can see down the line. So I'm very comfortable with a blank space and being like, we're gonna get this from 0 to $1 million in revenue. I can do it all day. I'm very comfortable in that space. I can get groups of people, I can connect with them, and ultimately I can find ways to gain trust and find ways to monetize that trust. So I would say those are my superpowers, or thinking outside the box. Any questions on these 3? So we had 3 unicorn lessons. Company level, you are the VC. 2, get in the car ASAP. And 3, what's your superpower? Any questions on that set of lessons? Okay. Let's go to the last, what's the timing on it? Okay, cool.
If you want to open for questions.
Okay. All right. Hannah hasn't seen this, and she does all the slide building. Oh, no, not this slide, the next slide. We're going to go here. Okay. So, as I said earlier, we sold Divvy on a Tuesday, and I'm gone on a Thursday. So it was very abrupt. It was just boom, boom, black, white. And you're working crazy hours, your whole life's enveloped in one thing, and then the next day or 2 days later, it's kind of all gone. So it was very drastic for me to just to handle my feelings. And I had a lot of time to think. And we're going to talk about kind of what I did. I interviewed hundreds of successful people. A handful of billionaires, lots of 100 millionaires, lots of tens of millionaires, and lots of just people I would consider to be very successful. And I asked them basically a question of happiness. How are you doing? How did you get there? What do you find happiness is? So my question to you, and I want you guys to call it out. Here's the beginning of the mountain, right? This is when you start your entrepreneurial journey or your career. This is when you're in the middle of it. And then this one over here is when you've reached the top, when you've sold your company or done whatever your end goal was. Where do you think happiness lies?
It's a process, not a given point.
What do you mean by that? Are you sure?
That's what I've found. Also, that's how dopamine works. Dopamine is given through the process, not set destination. But I guess it's fulfilling having walked all the steps to the top and just being able to appreciate each one of those steps. That's where happiness comes from. Because if you expect it to be at one point, you're just going to be let down.
Okay, we can wrap it up. That's pretty good. but we have more time, so we're going to keep going. No, he's really right. Like, dopamine doesn't work like that. It doesn't just build up to this endpoint where you're like, when I get to the summit of a hike or a business or whatever, that like, boom, you're going to make that step like you landed on the moon and happiness comes. I mean, it is, by the way, it is exciting. When we announced the sale, like, we were hugging and crying and cheering, like, it was cool. But very quickly, it was like 3-4 months after Divvy, I was in bed with my wife, and we get our kids finally to sleep, and now my kids are like in high school, so sleep's like 11:30, it drives me bonkers. But we're in bed, and we're just chatting, and I remember telling my wife, I was like, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but like, I can only say this to you, like, my wife. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I'm jealous of my friends in the rat race. And she's like, well, you don't mean that. I'm like, no, I get what you're saying, but I do mean it. And what I was saying to her, without fully understanding it is I missed the passion and the challenges of building. I missed what it took every day with a team to go build something great. And now I was just at home, and I would wake up, and I didn't have anything to do. And so I started to feel this lag because I didn't find happiness. Oh, this is supposed to be at the top of the mountain, but you get it. I didn't find happiness at the top of the mountain, or maybe right after the end, and I was like, oh shoot, like it's because I needed something to go on. And so that's when I started my search of like, all right, well, I got to start figuring out what I'm going to build next, because it wasn't enough. And it was a really odd feeling. So when I interviewed a lot of people for the book that we ended up writing, it was like asking that question, like, how'd you deal post-exit? How'd you deal when you thought you got to the dream? And by the way, it doesn't even mean just selling your business. It could be like, if your dream in life is to retire, your dream in life is to have a kid, whatever your dream is, I promise once you set foot on that dream, sometime after the honeymoon period of fulfilling that dream, you're going to be like, oh shoot, what's next? So part of what I would want to convey to people that are young is make sure you enjoy part of the process of going throughout, because at some point when you reach that dream, it's not always, the grass isn't as green on the other side of the mountain as you would think. I want to call out this, and then we'll go forward. So you've seen this meme on the internet. Obviously it says a bunch of different things, but it's always like, this dad who's clearly not going to change his mind on some subject. I think that there is, don't want to overstate this, but there is something truly noble in building something. I don't care where you come from, what your background is, meaning from just where you grew up blue collar, you grew up white collar, you grew up religious or not religious. You think about the times that you felt true power, and it's because you're building something. And that could be you're creating something like a baby, or you're building a house, or you're building, Lego set. It doesn't matter. When you're building something that you think has some element of purpose behind it, and you think makes the world a slightly better place, there's a feeling to that is that I'm jealous of, and frankly, I try to keep chasing. Okay, let's go. All right, we're going to end with this, and then we'll open up to some questions. Let's do that. So I interviewed, as I said, hundreds of people for a book that we wrote called Factory for Good, and I basically said, what are the 3 things you need to be happy? What are the 3 ingredients? These are the 3 ingredients that we found in the book, and we have a lot of stories on them. The first is purpose. It's what we just talked about. It's building something with purpose, building something that you think makes the world a better place. If you have purpose, it's a very solo thing. No one else can give you purpose. Your spouse, your mom, your dad, your brother, your friend, they can't give you purpose. And if someone says, well, how do you know if you have purpose? I'd say, wake up in the morning, when you take a shower, what are you thinking about? If you don't drive home at night thinking about something that you're doing or building, then you don't really have a purpose. You need to figure out what it is you're working towards. Second thing, relationships. I'll just ask a very we'll call it black or white question. Anyone here want to make a lot of money? Is it fair? Are you guys okay with that? We're at college. Okay. So anyone want to answer? Can I pick on anyone? Why do you want to make a lot of money? A bunch of people in this section raised their hands. So you in the blue shirt, come on, I'm going to pick on you because you raised first. Why would you want to make a lot of money? What's the point? Love it. By the way, funny story. My wife could care less about money. She really could. She doesn't care. But she did say to me one time, as like Divvy's moving and it's getting a little bit more successful, I would always ask questions like, what will it mean if this happens or that happens? And she's like, as long as I can shop at Target and not look at the bill, I'm good. So I did make that happen. She can shop at Target. Okay. The reason I asked the question money is I interviewed a bunch of people with money. If your goal is money, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I actually think money is great because it can solve a lot of money problems. The thing that I've found is a lot of people that have a lot of money, even billionaires or 100 millionaires, they have private jets, yachts, all the stuff. If they didn't have close relationships, people that they loved and trusted, none of it mattered. If you're making money and scrapping relationships, you're really, really going to regret it. And I'm just telling you because I've seen it in these interviews. So relationships is the second. The third is legacy. Legacy, if you think about it this way, purpose is yourself. Relationship is kind of your near community around you. Legacy is going to be the people that are kind of impacted beyond you or beyond your inner circle, and what people remember about you. And so having something bigger than yourself really, really matters as you think about what you're trying to contribute to the world. So we found that purpose, relationship, and legacy were the three things that allowed people that attacked their careers and had success. If they wanted to truly be happy, those are the three things they cared about. They never once said it was a dollar figure. It was always those are the three things that kept coming up. So we're going to open it up to Q&A. But for now, you don't have to buy the book. We already made the jokes earlier. We don't really make money on the books. But if you want the content, we do release a newsletter every Friday called Factory Fridays. You can scan that and join the newsletter. I'll take questions, but for now, I'll just say thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Do we want to do 5 minutes? Is that what we want? Yeah, let's just do a few questions. Yeah, back right there.
I got a question for you. So you said that having a good team is one of the most important things that you can do to succeed. When you're interviewing people or bringing people on your team, how do you analyze their value and their skills and their value and their personality? How do you juggle those two things?
Usually you can ask questions like, what's your superpower? What are you really good at? Like, what do you do well on a team? But then reverse it and say, where do you fall short in the team? Where do people need to pick up where you miss? And from there, from that answer, you can usually see someone's humility and desire to finish something across the finish line, but also recognize where they fall short. If someone's a little too egotistical, that's more of a sign of an individual player who's not going to be great on a team. I think you can usually ask those questions. Right here. I'm in early 20s. I don't know if I have the age, but probably someone like 22 to 24 we've seen before. Most often, I would say very common is 28 to 32. A little bit of experience, they've had a job or two, and then they went out and did something. I think that's the most common that we see. But we do see some young people. But usually it's because they catch lightning in a bottle and there's product market fit and they've just found something. And if you find that, you should definitely do it. If you don't, I would probably say don't do everything in your power to force it to happen. Try to find a product market fit and let it happen. Yeah. Let's go there.
How did you find your superpower, or what do you recommend to find your superpower?
It's a great question. I mean, one element is where do you feel comfortable? Where do you feel hey, realistically, I thrived doing that thing? Versus other times you're man, I was really bad at that. For example, I used to make PowerPoints. I don't think Hannah knows this. I used to make PowerPoints for Microsoft, and they would pay me $50 an hour, which I'm telling you, 20 years ago was a lot of money. And I was so bad at it. I would take 10 hours to basically make 3 slides, and it was really embarrassing. And I just realized very quickly in that job that was something I wasn't good at. But in that same job, I would go and travel as a 24-year-old to Microsoft resellers, and I could comfortably get up in front of a room and talk. So I was I'm good at this thing, but not that thing. I think just trial and error, you start to figure out what do people value and what you bring. I think that's fair. Let's go here, and then there was one over there, and then we'll wrap it up.
If you could start over, what would you do differently?
The 10 lessons, they were right there. I'm just kidding. What would I do differently in what regard? I'll tell you, I have an answer. So the one thing I would have done differently, because I didn't take school as serious as I should have, I wish I would have kept more opportunities open. For example, if I had done better at school, it would have given me more doors to potentially open. And I think in general, be an opportunity creator. That means networking with people, talking to people, reading about stuff, learning about stuff that opens more doors. And sometimes I think I got a little narrow and like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to do this. And I wish I would have kept more doors open. I think that would have helped. That's more career-wise than business, but yeah. Okay, last one. Let's go over here and then we'll wrap and we'll be done. This is a long story. Short story, Blake wanted to sell. We found the right partner at the right time. You know, it's funny, like hindsight's 2020. If you look back on the perfect time to sell a business, we might have nailed it to the day. Like we just, there's a lot of macro stuff that we were lucky on, so I don't want to take any personal credit. It's just timing. We found the right partner. It's the right timing, the right price, all that stuff. There's more nuance to it than that. I think if you have something that you know is good, you can leverage it to sell. If you're just trying to get rid of something, the buyer's always going to know, and ultimately it gets hard. And we were proud of what we had. We felt good about it, but ultimately we got the price that we wanted, and so that was it. And honestly, there was more to life than just building the company. At some point, you want to liquidate it for your family and for all the other stuff, but also try to figure out different things and different problems to solve, and I think that was part of it. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.